if you're a God-fearing Filipino and you are not into something which is destructive to your fellow men, you have absolutely nothing. I will die for you.
Haharap sa United Nations ang mga kinatawan ng Pilipinas para ipagtanggol ang human rights record ng bansa. Pangungunahan ni Senator Alan Peter Cayetano ang delegasyon na sasabak sa ikatlong periodic review ng Human Rights Council ng UN sa Geneva, Switzerland sa Mayo 8. Inaasahan daw ni Cayetano na sa sentro ang mga tanong sa war on drugs ng pamahalaan at sa panukalang ibalik ang death penalty sa bansa. Nauna na kasing binatikos ng UN High Commissioner for Human Rights si Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte dahil sa kakulangan daw ng pangunawa sa mga institusyon para sa mga karapatang pantao. Pero nakahanda raw sina Cayetano na ipakitang hindi state-sponsored ang sinasabing extrajudicial killing sa bansa.
Simple strategy namin doon. Tell the truth, tell the real numbers, tell the facts. And naniniwala kami after the presentation, maraming maliliwanagan na mali yung mga facts na sinasabi dun sa campaign against drugs.
Senator Cayetano, welcome to the program and thanks for joining us from Manila. As you know, your president, Duterte, is causing all sorts of shock and horror and tremors around the world with the current war on drugs. What is it that you say to the critics, including the United States, including the United Nations, who are asking the Philippines to abide by international human rights law?
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you for having me. There is a big problem in the Philippines, which is the drug situation. Families don't feel safe. We have 10 million Filipinos abroad trying to feed their families and make enough money to send their children to school. But we have 3 to 7 million Filipinos who are hooked on drugs, 3 million who are addicted to it, and something has to be done. And our president has started to do something about it. It is bearing fruit. What do we tell the critics? Please come here. Don't just read the reports, because there are people out to discredit him that are using the words extrajudicial killing, summary killing, vigilante killings very loosely. We value the sanctity of life. We are Christians, Muslims. We're very religious people. We value each and every life.
You question the idea of extrajudicial killings, but your own police force has said that in the 2 months, and it's exactly 2 months since President Duterte has taken office, 1,900 people have died, including at least 700 in police operations. Do you accept those figures?
Yes, ma'am, which conveniently the critics have not been saying, which is the same amount of people dead during the Aquino and Arroyo administration. So the cases now being reported, much of them are police operations, some of them are between the drug lords, but the problem is the way it is being presented. Now, I have here an article from one of our leading newspapers that reports every Monday and Wednesday how many are dead, and they called it the kill list.
Yeah.
And they got a little bit upset of me bringing this up. But why will you call it a kill list when internationally a kill list means an assassination list?
Well, that is because people believe that vigilantes are out, that they are taking the law into their own hand. Your own president said that he had issued shoot-to-kill orders to the police when they encounter members of organized crime or suspects who violently resist arrest. And let me play for you what the head of police himself has said to those involved in this fight. Listen to what he's told the public.
You can kill them because you are the victims. Go to them, pour gasoline on their houses and burn it down. Show them your anger.
Senator, go to them, pour gasoline on their houses and burn it down. Show them your anger. I mean, surely at the very least, that is incitement to violence.
The chief PNP has apologized for that throw that gasoline comment. Does the president speak differently? Does he speak in a politically incorrect way? Yes. But this is what the criminals in the Philippines understand. But is he disregarding the international norms of human rights? No. That is why Secretary de Lima and Mr. Chairman Gascon who has been making accusations left and right, and we have been pointing out that they're making faulty generalizations. We have pointed out that every case they have stated has been investigated, has either been is in the courts or is being prosecuted.
Senator, I hear you. Obviously, you're referring to a special inquiry that's been opened by that Senator Lima, who we are going to speak to, regarding these killings, because there are many, including, as I said, the United States and the UN, who object to what is going on, despite the way you describe it. What do you think your president will say to President Obama when they meet at the G20 next week? As I said, the U.S. has asked for the Philippines to respect human rights and international law.
Well, no one can really predict what our president will say, but look what he does. Remember, ma'am, the president has admitted that there are policemen who are into drugs. He has admitted that there are rotten cops. So despite how the president is portrayed and despite how he speaks, he's a man of contradiction. He's a very peaceful man. And ma'am, may I just communicate this to our friends in Europe and the US. This is not going to be the norm. President Duterte is a reset button. It is an offensive against the drug lords. It is a clean-up process, no? And once that everything stabilizes and we can put more money on CCTVs, on drug labs, on crime labs, on paying the police more, on professionalizing all aspects of our governance, no? You will have the more European or US type, no, of law enforcement that you want. This isn't vigilante killings wherein people are being paid, ma'am. This is the drug lords cleaning up their own act so that they won't be brought to court.
You know, in some instances, young children have been killed when shots have been fired by police through their households as the police hunt down potential targets. That picture that you showed went viral. The guy is some petty drug user and, according to his wife, not a drug lord. But I want to ask you this finally. Are you sure this will work? Because as you know, in neighboring Thailand, they tried a very similar thing back in the early 2000s. A huge crackdown and offensive against so-called drug lords, and drugs continue, and the pushing continues, and the trafficking continues. And as you know, in Mexico, decades of going after drug lords and kingpins, and tens of thousands have been killed, and it still carries on. So is this the right method?
Well, ma'am, in Singapore, people love the law and fear the law. That's all our president is trying to do. It's working now. Will it work? We hope so. We're praying so. We're just trying to instill in the people the love, but also the fear of the law.
Okay.
As to casualties, as I said, in a perfect world, no one should die. And as for children or for people accidentally getting shot or getting in the crossfire, this happens all around the world. They're in London, in the US. It shouldn't have happened. But if the president stops this, the killing of children, the selling of drugs of children, you know, we invite people to not listen to the critics, but come over and check it out. And thank you very much for this opportunity.
David Borden, Executive Director of the DRC Net Foundation, Marco Perduca, former member of the Italian Senate, Chito Gascon, Chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights, Alison Smith, Legal Counsel and Director of International Criminal Justice Program, No Peace Without Justice, all the other sponsors of this event, ladies and gentlemen, a good day to all of you. We are heartened that the issue of extrajudicial killings in the Philippines today is being discussed in an event such as this. To know that the international community's eyes are on us and to feel that human rights advocates are watching over our country gives us comfort, courage, and hope. It is already February 2017, and the body count due to drug-related killings keeps growing. We are now looking at some very grim statistics. Since July last year, more than 7,000 people have been killed in summary executions. We agree that our people deserve nothing less than a safe environment, so that anyone can walk the streets safely, whether in daylight or at nighttime. But drug abuse should not be treated as one that can be solved with bullets alone. It must be regarded as it truly is, a complex public health issue, linked intimately with poverty and social inequality. As it is, in some areas in Manila where poverty is rampant, residents tell us that communities are rounded up in places like basketball courts, women separated from men, those with tattoos asked to stand in a corner, their belongings searched. People are told that they didn't have any right to demand for search warrants because they were squatters and did not own the properties on which their houses were built. They told us of the Palit-Ulo scheme, which literally means exchange heads, where the wife or husband or relative of a person in a so-called drug list will be taken if the person himself could not be found. Some of those have told us that when there's crime, they normally go to the police. Now they don't know where to turn to. Our people feel both hopeless and helpless, a state of mind that we must all take seriously. This is why the Office of the Vice President supports the rehabilitation of drug dependents. You cannot kill addicts and declare the problem solved. The solution is to design the proper health, education, and psychosocial interventions to prevent further drug use and help them transition into productive members of society. Another challenge is to drum up legal and psychological support for those who may have undergone trauma due to extrajudicial killings. We believe that when the public knows its rights under the Philippine Constitution, when the community is united in this knowledge, our people will be better protected. We must tread carefully on this, however, because in some cases reported to us, those who ask for a search warrant, for instance, have been beaten and physically abused for doing so. We must all demand greater transparency in the government's war on drugs, because this is a major publicly funded campaign. Our leaders must be honest about the basis of the drug war. What exactly is the scope of the drug problem? Why do numbers about the extent of the problem change, as officially reported to the nation by our President, inconsistent? We believe that any campaign against illegal drugs must be founded on integrity. The public must ask why no one is being held accountable. The public must be watchful. Around 500 complaints have been filed at the Commission on Human Rights and recommended to the Department of Justice for filing of cases. But until now, 7 months into the administration's drug war, no information has been filed. On top of this, there's a brewing problem. Death penalty might soon return, and the age of criminal liability might be brought down to 9. We believe this to be a huge mistake because death penalty for non-violent offenses violate UN treaties and international human rights norms. Last Friday, a day before the EDSA People Power Revolution's 31st anniversary, we called the President to task on this. On behalf of the Filipino people whose daily struggles are escalating, we asked him to focus on the war that really matters, the war against poverty, instead of just the war against drugs. In a public statement, we asked him to direct the nation towards respect for rule of law instead of a blatant disregard for it. We asked him to uphold basic human rights enshrined in our Constitution instead of encouraging its abuse. We asked him to be the leader he promised to be and evoke in our people hope and inspiration instead of fear. We told him, do not allow the lies to distort the truth. We also asked the Filipino people to defy brazen incursions on their rights. Our people have fought long for our rights and freedoms. The Filipino nation has come so far since our country's darkest days. We are not about to back down now. Thank you all for listening. May you have a fruitful discussion moving forward. The Office of the Vice President is looking forward to deepening this conversation further with you.